So let us now learn about paranasal sinus tumors. So in paranasal sinus tumors, first we will see benign tumors. In the benign tumors, the first important is osteoma. Osteoma is the most common benign tumor of paranasal sinuses. It is most common benign tumor of paranasal sinuses. It is slow growing and it is most commonly seen in the frontal sinus more than it is most commonly seen in the frontal sinus. First, it is seen in frontal sinus, then it is seen in ethmoidal sinus, and it is seen in maxillary sinus. So, most commonly it is seen in frontal sinus, followed by ethmoidal sinus, followed by maxillary sinus. In most of the cases, it is silent, that is asymptomatic. But if this is the paranasal sinuses and this is the ostium, if the ostium of the paranasal sinuses is blocked, then all the fluids will secrete in the paranasal sinuses, that is causing mucocele, because the drainage of the paranasal sinuses is blocked, and this mucocele will result in headache and diplopia in the patient. Then how are you going to diagnose it? You will have to do X-ray should be done, and also CT scan should be done. In X-ray and CT scan you will see presence of dense mass, and you will see ground glass appearance is seen, and you will have to treat it. How are you going to treat is you will have to excision. In the excision you can do external frontoethmoidectomy can be done, that is called as Lynch-Haworth operation. We have Lynch-Haworth operation which is called as external frontoethmoidectomy is done in these patients. This is osteoma. Next, the next important disease, the next important tumor is we have fibrous dysplasia. Fibrous dysplasia is seen most commonly between 5 to 15 years of age. Here you will see there is medullary bone will get converted into fibro-osseous tissue. The medullary bone here gets converted into fibro-osseous tissue. It is most commonly seen in females. Here there is painless swelling is seen in the bone, and because of this painless swelling you will see cosmetic and functional disability is seen. Okay, you will see if this is the bone, there is painless swelling in the bone is seen, and this will result in cosmetic and functional disability. Where is it most commonly seen in the sinuses? It is seen most commonly in the maxillary sinuses, and it is also associated in the canine fossa area and zygomatic area. It is most commonly seen. Next, if you see one more, what is the X-ray finding? X-ray, you can do either X-ray PNS can be done, or you can also do CT scan of paranasal sinuses can be done. This will show presence of ground glass appearance. And what is the treatment? Treatment is actually you can do surgery. Then radiotherapy is not done because if it is, it might undergo malignant transformation. So because it might undergo malignant transformation, we do not do radiotherapy. Next, the next important tumor is malignant tumor of paranasal sinuses. In malignant tumors, we have carcinoma of maxillary sinus, which is important. In carcinoma of maxillary sinus, what is the etiological features? So it is seen in hardwood industry. Those who work in hardwoods, they are more prone to development of adenocarcinoma of ethmoid and upper nasal cavity, because the hardwood industry people are more prone to develop this adenocarcinoma. These individuals are actually called as woodworkers. This carcinoma is called as woodworkers carcinoma. It is also seen in people working in nickel. If they are working in nickel, it will predispose to squamous cell carcinoma and adenocarcinoma. Then what about the histology? Histology is it is seen in 80% of the cases. It is squamous cell carcinoma. It can be either adenoma, or it can be adenoid cystic carcinoma, or it can be melanoma, or it can be sarcoma. So if you see what is the most common site, so what are the histology? 80% of the cases it is squamous cell carcinoma. It can be adenoma, adenoid cystic carcinoma, melanoma, and schwannoma. The most common site, if you see involvement of paranasal sinuses, most commonly it involves the maxillary sinus, which is most commonly involved, followed by ethmoidal sinus, followed by frontal sinus, and followed by sphenoidal sinus is most commonly involved. It is most commonly seen in 7th decade of life. So So where is it most commonly seen? First it is maxillary antrum, followed by ethmoidal sinus, then we have frontal sinus, then we have sphenoidal sinus is most commonly seen. Then if you were asked about the clinical features, clinical features are there is a tumor in the maxillary sinus. So in the early sign there will be the opening of the ostia of the maxillary sinus is in the middle terminate. So this will get blocked. So as a result the patient will have nasal stuffiness, and sometimes there will be unilateral epistaxis will be there. The patient will have facial paresthesias and pain with euphoria and dental pain. And later the in late symptoms, first there will be only local symptoms, that is nasal symptoms. Later this tumor will spread to other areas of the face. For example, this can spread superiorly and it can involve the orbit. If it involves the orbit, it causes diplopia, proptosis, and it causes loss of the vision. It can go down and it can involve the alveolus. If it involves the alveolus, it causes malocclusion or it causes nasal teeth. It can go medially and it can involve the nasal cavity, and also it can also invade the ethmoid. It can go posteriorly and it can also invade the pterygoid plates. If pterygoid plates are involved, it results in trismus and intracranial spread occurs. Then it can go to the cheek anteriorly also. So these are the different sites of invasion of spread, direct spread of maxillary sinus carcinoma. Then if you see the lymphatic spread is not common, it is uncommon. But if it is early carcinoma, it can go into the retropharyngeal lymph nodes. If it is late if it is early carcinoma, it goes into the retropharyngeal lymph nodes. But if you were asked what is the most common site, it will go into the submandibular lymph nodes most commonly. Then if you see the diagnosis is biopsy is done for diagnosis. And what is the best investigation? Best investigation is CECT is the best investigation. Now classification is important. In the classification, first we have two classifications. One we have Ogren's classification. First one we have Ogren's classification. In Ogren's classification, if this is the skull of the patient, this is the eye. So we draw a line from the medial canthus of the eye. We draw a line from the medial canthus of the eye to the angle of mandible, and this line divides the face into upper part and the lower part. This upper part is the one which has poor prognosis, whereas lower part, if the tumor is present in the upper part, it has poor prognosis. If it is in the lower part, it is better prognosis. So this is Ogren's classification. Then second we have one more classification which is called as Lederman's classification. In Lederman's classification, here this is the orbit, this is the nose, and this is the maxillary cavity. Okay, now we will draw a line. Two horizontal lines are drawn. First horizontal line will pass through the floor of the nasal cavity, floor of the oral cavity. Sorry, first horizontal line will pass through the floor of the orbital cavity. It passes through the floor of the orbital cavity, whereas second is passing through the floor of the antrum. So these are the two horizontal lines. First passing through the floor of the orbital cavity, second passing through the floor of the antrum. Then we also draw two vertical lines. The vertical lines are drawn both from the medial side of the orbit, okay, touching the medial side of the maxillary antrum also. This will divide into three things. One, we have suprastructure. Second, we have mesostructure. Third, we have infrastructure. In suprastructure, we have ethmoidal sinus. Here we have ethmoidal sinus, and then we have sphenoidal sinus behind it. And in the superstructure, we have frontal sinus are present in the superstructure. And then we have so in the superstructure we have ethmoidal sinus, sphenoid sinus, and frontal sinus is present in the superstructure. In the middle or mesostructure, we have respiratory sinus and we have respiratory area of nose. In the infrastructure, we have alveolar process is seen in the infrastructure. Okay, now this is the Lederman's classification. Then we have diagnosis. Treatment is you should do surgery, should be done, followed by radiotherapy is done. What surgery you do? You will do total or partial maxillectomy is done. What is the incision which you use for total or partial maxillectomy? So if this is the person, you will actually use the instrument for sorry, the incision is, first you will draw an incision from the below the from the lower part of lower lid, and then go along the nose, and then ala of the nose, and then you will go up to the middle of the upper lip, and then this is the incision which is given, which is called as, this is called as Weber Ferguson incision. It is called Weber Ferguson incision is done. So if the tumor extends, if this tumor is extending into the ethmoid, if it extends into the ethmoid complex, in such cases we should do craniofacial resection. If this tumor is extending into the infratemporal fossa, then we can do extended Weber Ferguson incision can be done. Okay, prognosis is 30%, 5-year cure rate is seen. Thank you.